That should be another show.
Most certainly.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back today to another episode of Solomon's Social Commentary. And today we have good disciple Tom, who we're very pleased to... Tom, you've been working a lot lately, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, like 50-hour weeks. You know.
That's right. And I did that on my weekend when I was Tom's age. Just saying. Yes, 50-hour weekends. Think about it. I didn't. I just did it. That's right. This generation overthinks. Not enough action. That's what I'm saying. Oh, yes. That's right.
Sorry, we're all too soft. We can't get 30 hours into 1 hour. It's very problematic.
That's your problem. You can't hack physics, your generation. Everything's calculable only towards a physical standard.
We're bound by these mortal like play.
Yes. But that's all right. I forgive your generation for that. I think it is the job of every generation to help do their best to nurture the upcoming generation. It's only then that we have a future that's brighter for all. Pay it forwards, essentially. Now, speaking of paying it forwards, I'm going to show you all a clip today. It was an interesting clip that came up on my shorts video. And basically, it can be summed up as college degrees versus non-college degrees. No. People who have college degrees versus people who don't have college degrees. And we look at how viable they are in the workplace. So I'm going to play the clip now. Let's have a look and see what's going on.
If I were hiring someone for a position today, I would much rather hire someone who did not go to college. Why?
No shot.
100%.
Absolutely
and I do it all the time. And the reason is that the people who go to college go through 4 years, and every single one of them talks and thinks and acts like a robot.
If I'm hiring somebody and I've got two equivalent candidates in front of me, and I've got a guy that was able to get his 4-year degree, that speaks volumes. I know that you can be on time. I know that you can show up every day and do what's assigned to you. I know that you have the ability to finish something. That's a hugely important thing versus somebody that shows up with no degree. If you don't have a degree, and you can make it without a degree, but you need a damn good portfolio to do that. And that is true advice for anybody working in any field. The college degree is the #1 grower of wealth inequality in the United States because people with college degrees are out earning everybody else so much.
Watch what happens in the next 10 years with college degrees.
It's so important. Even other conservative-esque people like Jordan Peterson talk about, like, how do we have a society where it functions when the IQ requirements for performing well in society are becoming higher and higher?
And there you have it, Tom. Basically, people with college degrees and people without college degrees. Now, let's state this right up front, okay? Both of them have good points.
Yeah.
Both of them don't see the full picture clearly. And let's have a look and talk about why. First of all, Tom, just your impressions in general.
I mean, where do I begin? I mean, again, both of them have very good points. Like, I feel as though... Well, I feel as though the guy who was talking about how having a college degree means that you have
I think
a degree of integrity. Yeah, a degree of integrity and work ethic is somewhat right. I mean, I have met plenty of college graduates who somehow finish their degree while doing very little, and I think it probably depends on the degree. But I also think that there is quite a stigma around hiring people without degrees, which isn't always
I'll be honest with you, I've worked in just about every field out there, and I've gone from things that are normally white collar or not white collar. I've worked inside, outside, office technical jobs versus like hands-on, even just menial grunt labor. I've done it all, and I think degrees come up very infrequently if you think about the variety of jobs that are out there, and at the same time they are always pertinent in sort of like a very concentrated, concentrated aspects of niches. Something to point out, I think, first of all, is that, and I wanted to clarify this, these days a lot of places, like if you're going for a white-collar job, they make you do an IQ test. So in the last 3 office jobs I've had, I simply did an IQ test when I entered. They didn't care so much about any qualification I had previously. I had a very impressive 5-page resume, and they were like, "Oh yeah, well, just do the test and then see how you go." And I was like, "Oh, this is great. It's been a while, but I aced it pretty much." And, if your IQ is high enough, places will want to hire you. You know why? Because you have the potential to be used. That's more important than saying that I've got a piece of paper from somewhere. Not to disparage college.
No. In fact, it's quite useful in. It's more that, because the reason they want that college degree or, they ask for that piece of paper is so that they know that you have the base understanding of what you're doing. Like, if they hire someone with no experience or no degree, it's like...
And especially if you're young, it does depend on the role you're applying for, I think we should actually specify that, because there were several points made in that video just now. Let's address the first one. People with college degrees out-earn people without college degrees. Let's discuss that.
I mean, I think it really depends where you are in the world more than anything. Like,
I mean, the thing about this is, so we think pure mathematics, okay? No matter...
Pure mathematics.
Pure mathematics, that's right. Not in the degree, but
what's it called?
Just graphing of it.
Wait, what's it called?
What's it called?
Is it unapplied mathematics degrees? No.
Unapplied?
No.
Discrete mathematics or applied?
No. Like, isn't it like... theoretical mathematics degrees out there. Be like,
he's a theoretical physicist. He wouldn't know how to tie shoelaces. He can tell you about the different 20 quantum states of knots. That's dimensional points, but he can't tie shoelaces. It's outside of his expertise. Yes. Anyhow, no, a good point to make. Looking at purely from a mathematical point of view, no matter how much debt I say no matter, but within a reasonable frame, no matter how much debt you actually accumulate to getting your degree, if you have a higher salary or wage or earning potential, so if your gradient is steeper, eventually you will overtake someone who has no debt, started out at a higher point on the y-axis, but their gradient is slower. So if you're like that, eventually they'll overtake you. Thanks, son. But there are limitations, because in this case we have to apply limits to our subfields. How long you're going to be working for? So let's say 65 on the X scale. Then tax as well. The tax breaks that affects your gradient as well. So purely mathematically speaking, there's already some pros and cons about why you should be earning more as a college degree holder, or whether or not you should actually go to the workforce and start capitalizing on your money. Because guess what? Where the most types of pure net gains are coming from, pound for pound. It's investments. I saw a study the other day about how you shouldn't put your child through private school, because you could invest the money you pay on tuition into a 20-year sort of investment fund. They walk out of it with close to, there's a lot of money. Definitely a lot of money.
Which would set them up
would actually be more than what you get from the educational aspect of, just purely for money's sake. Education for the sake of education, I always endorse. But that's not the point here. We're talking about the viability of earning, the viability of the workplace and college degrees. And a big part of that is your earning potential. Now, that's the thing. If you need a specific job that requires specifications, having the college degree is more often than not going to be a critical criteria.
Most definitely.
You can't be an engineer without a degree. That's. I mean, you can, but
I mean,
good luck.
I would say in that regard, it's also like certain, depending on where you are in the world, certain places have especially if governments or I guess companies or higher bodies decide they want to streamline people into certain jobs or degrees. Certain jobs or positions, then there are especially for currently with cybersecurity and software engineering and stuff like that, there's a lot of programs out there that are really sort of fast tracked into getting people into the workplace, and then that they can sort of develop their skills from there.
And the fact that some people in that field with degrees, they're outdated by the time they actually enter the workplace.
Quite right. But it's really heavily dependent on the field. I would also say, in regards to, for instance, people degree earners earning more money overall than compared to non-degree earners. For instance, that's definitely true in places like I don't know, most of Southeast Asia and probably the UK as
if you
well.
argue the if you try to say factor in statistical averages. The question we have now is, what? Do you average out the income of everybody without a degree versus the income of everyone with a degree? Okay. First of all, someone without a degree could be a housewife. They don't earn anything. That zero is really throwing off the averages. Let's think working class people within a certain demographic in certain territory or countries. I wouldn't say yuppies, but it's there. You know what yuppies are? Young urban professionals.
Oh, is that what it means? I thought it was like a derogatory slang term.
It is.
Oh, okay.
It can be. It's like that. Enough about that later. We'll discuss semantic vernacular later.
But it's like in certain, for here in WA, for instance, there's a lot of FIFO workers and tradies usually make a significant.
That's what I was going to say. If it's money, just talk about money. Plenty of people without degrees can earn 6 figures. It's not that hard to get into. You show you're willing to work.
Yeah.
You can earn the money, especially if your workplace is good. And we think about people with degrees, and the fact is, my earlier point about money and investments. Guess what income bracket? Guess what income stream is taxed the most? It's your wages.
Yeah.
It's your working income.
Yeah.
You know, so you might have higher
assets,
higher degree of income stream, but that's mostly going to get taxed out as well. So if you think about how much money you're actually keeping, how much time you're investing to things, pound for pound, it's actually not that different. It averages out pretty well, you know. Yeah. And I'm glad we live in a world where we can average it out pretty well, you know. There's not this sort of academic elitism.
Yeah.
And on the topic of elitism, let me ask you this question. What kind of kids get degrees?
Well, people are supported through their degree and can actually,
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Automatically, like, I'm not going to accuse the guy of being, discriminatory towards people with lower socioeconomic brackets, but getting a degree versus not getting a degree, are you telling me that your start out in life didn't have anything to do with that?
Exactly.
Like, are you saying then that automatically you're sort of just wiped out a huge chunk of potential employees from that sort of demographic? The bracket.
People who get degrees, especially people who do well in university and get good grades, are usually the ones that don't have to think about, supporting other members.
Income is one thing. I'm sorry. I always go to income.
Housing,
that's not my money. It's the Asian thing in me.
Income, income, housing,
obligations,
responsibility, even like stuff like health and mental health, like health problems and mental health problems as well.
That's right.
Disabilities. It's like even if you have especially for people with health problems of any form, even if you have those. If you come from like a higher economic standing, then it's far easier for you to be supported throughout your degree and finish your degree with flying colours than it is for someone who's
and it's not just the having the available resources. It's the fact that where you are in life at that point isn't actually being you don't have shackles or debt that comes from growing up in lower economic households too. Stuff that you have to actually learn and figure out and actually overcome in the process. Look, I'm all for struggling to improve yourself. That's the whole point of life, potency, to become the best version possible. And I'm not making excuses for people out there who go, I have this, therefore I have like a reason to not try. That makes you a victim. I'm against victim mentality. But what I will say is we should be understanding that it's not objectionally fair. Like it's not objectively. It's not objectively fair to say if you have the degree, therefore it's like this. If you don't have the degree, it's like that. If you want to look at it purely, okay. By doing that, it's a crude, but it's an effective filter. Like it's a very good rule of thumb, just to say, these people probably did come from better socioeconomic backgrounds and whatnot. So you can depend on them to be sort of more mentally, emotionally stable and to have less sort of hang-ups and chips on their shoulders. But at the same time, if that's more of a side philosophical point, because as a business owner, would I be hiring people with or without degrees? I'd say now it's mixed bag. I wouldn't care. I wouldn't be a factor. It's not a critical factor in a lot of cases if I was going to hire someone simply because I need to see who I'm dealing with. Isn't that the point of job interviews?
Exactly.
If you could automatically be eligible for any job, like, what's the point of doing the interview then?
Exactly. It's also, like, even on top of that, like, the amount of employers I've had worked for who've just, like, not looked at my CV when I've given that to them. And have just gone through, I mean, this is kind of a side tangent, but like I've done that, like I've sent them my CV, I've written them like a nice cover letter, sort of explained everything, all completely ignored, and then just like asked me all in the interview process. So it's like, not to mention like a lot of places you have to relearn everything once you get there.
Exactly. A number of places where you do retraining upon getting there. At times I've relearned how to do the same task again and again because each workplace isn't going to automatically know that you can immediately take care of the task.
And it's also like a quality guarantee because it's like you come in here with a degree, but depending on where that's from, like that could mean a million different things, and like they have to guarantee some sort of level of quality, which is why they'd have to retrain you. They need to know that you can, or at least test you, I guess.
So, I mean, in closing, I know we've gone on quite a bit about it, which is great because I like having these discussions in general. I think that in doing so, in a dialectical manner, we've actually sort of gone through the process of our thinking, our critical stages, and people in the comments can always
argue, fight,
kill
each other. I want to see bloodshed in the comments. Fight for our amusement.
We've got Fight Club in 2 hours, just in case you didn't know. That's why I'm wearing white.
Yes.
I want to rack up my score, basically.
Need to see the blood.
That's right. Anyway, but in closing, I think we put a lot of influence, we put too much emphasis on the having a college degree versus not having a college degree. And I'm not going to say like it's a gender thing, but it's usually women who care more about that type of thing. Really? It's like dating guys with degrees, for instance. It's like this new 6 foot standard, for instance. Like you'd rather have a guy with a degree. If you earn money, it's great. But you have to have quite a bit more money. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
I guess that's sort of like the mentality with like kind of how business owners see it. With like there's they think the standards there because the degrees there, so that like the prospects are better for like.
So long story short, you're not necessarily smarter because you don't have a degree.
We
all know that. I think we're all thinking it throughout this entire conversation, and that's the case, you know. Like, because not every smart person's going to want to get a degree.
No, it's also the fact that like being smart doesn't mean that it will be easier to get a degree in the sense that being able to concentrate and be book smart and like learn and tick all the boxes to finish a degree is not really there's different types of intelligence.
And having high IQ, like you're saying, having high IQ doesn't mean you're going to be a good fit for the workplace.
Most definitely.
Someone with a slightly lower IQ but much better EQ is way better for your workplace in general, especially if you're doing any sort of social team efforts. Like you'd much rather find someone who can work as a team because it's those intangible factors that actually really determine the strength of the team overall. If it was literally a case of whoever had the best scores, we'd begin companies who only hire people with the best scores, and then they'd be the ones thriving to the top. But that's not the case. The reality is that as human beings, the social aspect is so important when you work. Even if you work by yourself or if you're like more of a solo person, you still have to have a network somewhere, People don't do it by themselves. I think people forget that about the whole college degree factor. You don't earn your college degree by yourself.
No, this is true. And also, like, you see, like, teams of, like, very capable people collapse all the time because, like, the team dynamic doesn't function and they can't, like, you can't do everything yourself. Like,
no degree out there guarantees that you're mentally sound, emotionally stable, that you've got like teamwork priorities, that you don't score highly in dark triad traits like Machiavellianism.
I have my degree in being neurotypical.
Even philosophy degree holders, I mean, you think that they'd be a good fit for it, but no, they're not. Like, some of them are the most pretentious people in the world, which just goes to show the college degree itself is not a very accurate litmus test about this type of thing.
Especially not with like deviating qualities of education throughout the world and like different, because like it's even within the same country, because a lot of universities are, in fact, all of them, I think, sorry, you're distracting me with the tea. Independent, it means that there's no real sort of overarching quality, like, there's no government body to say this is what you should be teaching. It's like up to the university. And of course they'll try and like teach the best thing to suit the job, and like, because, if graduates from their school are employable, then that means more people come in and more money for the school, so they're trying to, teach people what's best for the workplace. But it also means that, the quality of education between multiple universities within the same state, let alone the same country, is going to vary a lot.
Of course, Tom. Everything you said makes perfect sense. And it's not just perfect sense, it's the reality of the situation we have at hand. The issue, I think, the woman at the beginning was saying, let's see in 10 years what happens. Even though it didn't go into detail in that clip, it's actually a question of schools that pump out degrees. The degree mill, basically.
Oh, most definitely.
The diploma mill, the degree mill, knowing that, people will seek pieces of paper because now we've attached the value to it. Guess what? We've oversaturated the market with it. There's no actual skills there.
Exactly. And it's now become a situation, well, not so much here, but in other places where you have to have a degree because that's like the baseline now.
I'm going to tell you now, like, people who with degrees, who go and teach English overseas. What's your degree again? It's in mathematics. It's like, you're teaching English grammar. I mean, you're smart enough to do that because the degree is there, but That's not a great indication of your skills one way or the other. Yeah, so it's alright. But yes, Tom, in closing, have we not ragged out on anyone yet? Like, is there a group we haven't yet disparaged? Yes.
I mean, I would like to say in closing that, like,
those people, huh? Yeah.
Oh yes, yes.
In closing, yes, please tell us. Yes.
Like, just briefly talk about what the woman said at the beginning about how, like, when people who come out with college degrees are like all just robots. Which I don't really think is true.
That's a bit too far. Like both sides had strong points, but they're also sort of mitigated by there was sort of what's the word for it? Vacillated by their blind spots as well. So they had strong points in the argument, but neither side really saw a clear picture, and that's kind of what we wanted to discuss. Like we wanted to flesh out the topic. Maybe they didn't have much time. That was a 1-minute video.
I mean, it's a snapshot into a long conversation.
Yes. Oh. But yes, in closing, that's there. So, everyone, the only reason that we're stopping this early is because we're out of tea.
Need a bigger pot for next time.
That's right. So, join us next time for another one of Solomon's social commentaries. Hopefully Tom will be there too. See you then, folks. Thank you. So we can... We have to try and talk directly into it because otherwise the voice it's not meant to pick up echo. La la. La 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 la. Did we get all that? Okay, that's in the